Zillow doesn't make money helping you find a house. Zillow makes money charging real estate agents for the right to talk to you. That sentence right there explains almost everything you need to know about how Zillow works. And once you understand it, you'll never look at that little Zestimate the same way again. I do want to be fair here. Zillow did build something useful. Looking at listings online, getting market context, watching neighborhoods, that's all real. But the way the platform actually generates revenue and what that means for the agent you end up getting connected with is something that most people in the general public, buyers and sellers alike, don't fully understand. And it can shape your home buying experience in ways you'd want to know about before you click request more info. I'm Rebecca Williams, a real estate professional with over 100 transactions in the beginning of my 8th year as a real estate agent in the greater East Texas area. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through how Zillow Zestimate actually works using Zillow's own published numbers, what happens when you fill out a contact form on Zillow's platform, and the one piece of evidence that proves even Zillow doesn't trust the Zestimate to make their own decisions. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand why the same patterns apply to every major online real estate platform, not just Zillow. If you're new here, this is the Living in East Texas channel, where I cover basically all things real estate, local towns and cities, things to do, and the nitty-gritty parts of buying and selling real estate that nobody really talks about. Subscribe to the channel if that sounds like your kind of content. The Zestimate is the bait. The Zestimate is actually an algorithm. It's not an appraisal. It's not a human being that's actually been inside your house. It's not a comparative market analysis. It pulls from publicly available data, including and probably not limited to tax records, sale history, square footage, some MLS data when it's available, and it runs through a proprietary formula and spits out a number. What it doesn't know, what your kitchen actually looks like. Does the house have existing upgrades or updates? Or does it need a full remodel? Whether your roof needs replacement or is it brand new? What your interior condition is, what the view is, whether the road gets noisy, whether the neighbor has a sketchy fence that's about to fall over. And here's the thing, Zillow openly admits this. They state this in their own frequently asked questions. The Zestimate is a starting point, not a true appraisal. And one item to note is they don't even have all of the data. Of course, I have a Zillow profile page. And yes, I have closed deals from clients who came to me through and from Zillow. But when I go onto my profile and I claim a sale after I have a closing, Zillow asks me what was the sales price. And every single time I input 0, and I know that other agents do as well, because to me, that's proprietary and it belongs to me as a real estate professional. I pay my licensing fees, I pay to have access to the MLS, and I pay not only local MLS dues, state dues, and National Association of Realtors dues year round, and I'm a member of multiple MLSs. Appraisers also pull their numbers and comparable sales from the MLS. So Zillow doesn't even have all the information. Zillow's own published error rates. Per Zillow's own data, the nationwide median error rate for on-market homes is about 2%. And for off-market homes, it's about 7%. Translation, on a $400,000 home, the off-market Zestimate could be easily off by $28,000 in either direction. And that's the median error. Half of off-market Zestimates are off by more than 7%. Some are off as much as 10 to 20%. Zillow itself reports that only about 99% of all the Zestimates are within 20% of the actual value, which means 1% are off by more than 20%. On a $400,000 home, that's potentially an $80,000 swing. It's probably rare, but it's true. In rural areas, on unique homes, in older neighborhoods, exactly the kind of places we have in East Texas, the error rates are typically higher than the nationwide average. The proof, Zillow's own iBuyer disaster. In 2018, Zillow launched a program called Zillow Offers. The idea, use the Zestimate to buy homes directly from sellers and then resell them at a profit. Their own algorithm used as their business strategy. In just 3 short years, Zillow shut this program down. They reported a roughly, and get this, $881 million loss on that iBuying business in 2021. They laid off about 25% of their workforce. The Wall Street Journal reported that they lost $25,000 on every home they sold in Q4, which is the fourth quarter of 2021. The takeaway and what this means to you. Zillow's own algorithm was so inaccurate that Zillow themselves almost lost close to $1 billion while they were trying to trust it. If Zillow doesn't trust the Zestimate with their own money, you probably shouldn't trust it with yours. So we all know that the Zestimate is unreliable. We also know that Zillow knows it's unreliable, which raises a question. If the home value isn't the real product, what is? Because Zillow's annual revenue is billions of dollars. So what are they actually selling? They're selling you. Or more accurately, they're selling the right to talk to you. The program is now called Zillow Premier Agent, and here's how it works. Real estate agents pay Zillow for what's called a shared voice in a specific zip code. When you go to a Zillow listing and you fill out a contact form to learn more about that house, in very many cases, your information does not go to the listing agent. It gets routed to whichever Premier Agents has paid Zillow for that particular zip code. Let that sink in. You're looking at a specific house. You ask for more information. You assume you're connecting with the agent that knows the most about that home. Instead, you're being introduced to an agent who paid Zillow to be the one to be able to call you. They may have never seen the inside of that property. They may not know the neighborhood. They may live several zip codes away, but they bought the right to be the one who picks up the phone when you click submit. That's the business. The Zestimate is the bait. The listings are the bait. The Premier Agent program is the actual product. And you, my friends, are the inventory. And it's not just Zillow. It's the model that has spread across most online real estate platforms. Let me show you who else is running the same playbook. Before I get into what to do about all this, I do want to be really clear about something. Zillow is the biggest name, but Zillow is not the only one doing this. Almost every major real estate platform that you can think of runs a similar business model. It's basically a lead resale business model. Realtor.com sells leads to agents through programs like Connections Plus and Market VIP. Same basic concept, pay for zip code access, receive customer contact info routed through the platform. Trulia, it's owned by Zillow. Same business model, same lead routing. Redfin, it's a little bit different structure because they're both a brokerage and a portal. When you click a Redfin listing, you're routed to a salaried agent. The mechanics are different, but the principle is the same. Platform's revenue depends on connecting you with the agent. An agent they chose, not necessarily the one that knows the house. Homes.com recently shifted to a pro agent model where the listing agent is featured rather than competing buyer's agents, which is genuinely different. But I've also heard that Homes.com sometimes will send out a mailer trying to get the seller of the house to pay for marketing. Don't do that. The unifying truth. Free to use real estate platforms are not really free. They do have to make money somehow. And in nearly every case, the way they make money is by being a marketplace between you and the agents who pay for access to you. This isn't a conspiracy. It's just a business model. But it is a business model that most consumers don't even know exists. And that gap between what people think they're using and what they're actually using is the whole point of this video. There's also one more name you might not expect. Do you want to know the one that surprised me? Dave Ramsey. Yes, that Dave Ramsey, the financial guy who has spent his entire career telling you not to get sold to, not to take on debt, and not to fall for marketing schemes in general. His company runs a program called Ramsey Trusted. It's a referral program for real estate agents. Buyers and sellers go to his platform looking for a real estate agent, and then they get routed to the area where real estate agents are paying for that program. A few years ago, I interviewed with them to potentially be one of their preferred agents. I can't even remember the exact cost. I'm wanting to say it was anywhere between $500 and $700 a month. And I believe they wanted like $1,800 down just to join the program. And just for context, that's pretty expensive. When I was a brand new agent, I did pay for Realtor.com leads because back then they didn't have that Market VIP program in place. Again, it was by zip code or city. I was paying for leads for different areas. I was anywhere from $500 to $700 a month. It was a really great way to kickstart my business, but then they cut me off basically because they were moving to the Market VIP platform where you had to buy an entire area, which of course was going to be way more expensive. And I just decided to let that program go. And forgive me, I'm not one to say, oh my God. If you hear me say that, something astounding has happened. I usually say, oh my gosh, or OMG for short. But when the lady revealed the price, I literally out loud went, oh my God. I took a moment and I said, okay, so you're telling me that the guru for financial advice wants me to pay you guys whatever the fee was. Like I said, it was ridiculous. And forgive me, I really don't remember. I just know it was probably 700-ish or so a month that they were going to charge me to get names of people who trust them for financial advice. And the irony was not lost. And I made sure that the girl on the phone heard my heart on that, because I was kind of flabbergasted, if you want to know the truth. The man whose entire brand is built on don't spend money frivolously, don't go into debt, don't have liabilities, only assets, don't let people sell you things you don't need, wants me to spend well over $500 a month so I can be the recommended agent when his audience comes looking for help. The audience that trusts him on his principles because he's teaching them to be careful with their money. I'm not telling you this to attack Dave Ramsey. I actually agree with a good portion of his ideals. I'm telling you this because if you can find the same lead routing model under someone like Dave Ramsey, one of the biggest voices in his industry in personal finance, that should tell you how universal this pattern is. So let's connect the dots. If it's happening at Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, Trulia, Ramsey Trusted, and all the other online platforms, that means it's happening everywhere. The platform recommending the agent isn't necessarily matching you with the best person for the job. They're matching you with the agent who's paying them. Going back to the Zestimate, you should treat it as one data point, never the full answer. If you're a seller, do not anchor your sales price to the Zestimate. The number has been generated by an algorithm that hasn't been inside your house and that Zillow doesn't even trust. If you're a buyer, don't use the Zestimate to decide whether or not a listing is under or overpriced. The number could be wildly off in either direction. If you want a real number, you need to ask an agent for a true comparative market analysis, or CMA, based on actual sold comps, condition of the property, and current local market conditions. That number is grounded in reality. The Zestimate isn't. I want you to understand what happens when you fill out the contact form. If you're not already working with an agent, clicking request a tour or request more information or even contact agent usually will connect you with one of those agents that are paying for that information. It's not necessarily the listing agent, which is a common misnomer. And this is true on all the platforms I've already talked about. Now, Premier agents are often skilled professionals because they can afford to pay Zillow for the information. Some are excellent, but the system isn't matching you with the person who knows the property best. It's matching you based on who's paying for that zip code. An interesting point is industry estimates put Premier agents lead to close conversion just about roughly 1 to 3%. That means that agents are paying for information and leads that are not converting for 97 and 99% of the time. To make the economics work, they have to call leads fast. That's why you'll hear people complain about being hounded by agents. And another reason that real estate agents can get a bad name. The fix, if you want to talk to the agent who actually knows the house, you would want to call the listing agent. Call the number on the yard sign or contact a real estate agent that you already know. And one side note about that, if you do call the agent on the sign, just remember that they can sometimes represent you as well in a sale. Another common misnomer is that, okay, if I call the listing agent and I'm the buyer, maybe I can get a better deal. If they're able to represent both sides, thereby work a deal with the seller on the commission maybe. As a buyer, you do need to know that while that actually may be true, the listing agent actually truly represents the seller over you as the buyer. If you don't have an agent yet, you should probably find one before you start browsing. Once you do have an agent, they can either set up an automated search from their website or the MLS directly based upon your actual criteria. That feed is more current, more accurate, and it's basically tailored to you. The big platforms pull that from the MLS anyway, but they don't do it as quickly, and sometimes they're still marketing homes that are no longer on the market, sold, or pending. Working with your own agent controls who calls you, not an algorithm or who owns a zip code. And you are going to need an agent eventually anyway. Hiring one before you start clicking around can protect you from getting your number and name funneled into an agent relationship that you didn't intentionally choose. At this time, I would like to mention BeccaWilliamsRealtor.com. or livinginetx.com. If you register on my website, you can search and click around as much as you want. And if you hit that you're interested in more information, it just sends it to one person, me. The only caveat is sometimes my AI will go rogue and it decides to start asking you questions or sending you emails. In that case, contact me and we'll see what we can do to turn that off. And I hope that you do appreciate that I had to mention that because it's my channel, my video. Look, I am not saying I don't use these platforms. I use Zillow myself. Someone sends me an address, even a link, or sometimes I have difficulty finding it on the MLS. And so I'll go to Zillow, find out who the agent is, and then I can pull it up in the MLS that way. Their maps, their photos, some of the search filters can be generally useful. Side note, for sellers, I pay for Zillow Showcase. They're highlighted in a different way. They have a 3D walkthrough, depending on the agent, a walkthrough video. And one really cool feature on the site, the Zillow Showcase listings give buyers and users the ability to go on and virtually stage a room, depending on their style or preference, so that you can see what different furniture looks like in the space. You can click on different types of furniture that it'll place in the room, and it'll give you just a little bit different view. I think it's really useful. I'm doing it with most of my listings. So if you're thinking of selling, that's super interesting to know. I really just want to be informative so that the general public can learn what these platforms really are, so that you know to protect yourself accordingly. Don't anchor yourself entirely to the Zestimate that you see. Don't let a simple contact form decide for you which agent you end up working with. And don't assume free to use means working for you. If you're house shopping in East Texas, Hideaway, Lindale, Tyler, Mineola, and anywhere in between, and you want to do this without becoming a lead in somebody's zip code auction, call or text me at 903-920-7413. I can set up a property search for you within your parameters that goes directly to you, and it's only one agent you're dealing with. You'll stop getting random agent calls within just a few days of filtering them out. Online real estate platforms are tools, useful ones, but these tools have a business model behind it, and the business model shapes how the tool works. And now that you know what Zillow's is, and now you know that almost every major real estate platform out there is doing the same thing, you can keep using them. Just use them knowing what they actually are. And again, BeccaWilliamsRealtor.com or livinginetx.com. Drop me a comment. Tell me if you've ever filled out one of these forms and been bombarded by agent calls. And subscribe to the channel. I like doing these breakdown videos and contrarian takes to the general views of a good portion of the real estate industry. So subscribe to the channel, comment, and tell me what surprised you about this information. And as always, y'all, you know, I video so you'll know what it is like to live in beautiful East Texas. I'm Rebecca Williams with Leslie Kane Realty and the Living in East Texas channel, and I hope you guys have a really great day. Thank you for watching the video. I truly appreciate it.